everybody. Welcome to episode 447 of the All You Can Hear podcast. My name is Wenzel, and I will be your sole host for this episode. As for today's topic, I'll be going through some of my favorite albums this year so far. What I have in front of me is a top 10 list and 5 honorable mentions. With my top 10 and my 5 honorable mentions, I will also include my highlighted track of the album. That's just a single song that is my absolute favorite, but I can listen to these albums with no skips. This was an extremely difficult task to put this together because I'm not exactly sure of how many I've listened to this year, but I've listened to either 200 or a little past 200 albums this year so far. It took me 2 weeks to put this together, and I specifically wanted to wait for a certain album release before I finalized this list, and I was right to hold off because 2 albums had released a little over a week ago that ended up being on this list. And speaking of releases, this year has already had some great releases from my favorite artists, but then over the past couple of months, even more of my favorite artists have announced new albums, and those include Death Cab for Cutie, The Strokes, Modest Mouse, Genghis Tron, Ice Age, Olivia Rodrigo, Vince Staples, JPEG Mafia, Future Islands, Citizen, Temples, Butthole Surfers, Pond, Sparta of Montreal, just to name a few. And who knows what incredible releases may come from new and upcoming artists. This year, just like 2025, has been stacked for me. I know I said last year too, a lot of my favorite artists had releases as well, and then this year it's even more so. It's been great. And not only that, I've just listened to so many new artists. As I said before, I listened to a lot of albums already, and we're not even halfway through the year yet. So even though I've named off a lot of artists, I know that is just a fraction of what's to come out this year, and I'm pumped. I'm so excited because who knows? There's like, I as I said, I could be getting great stuff from artists that I know, but then there's some new artists that just has some stuff that just blows my socks off. I don't know. I'm excited. I just love music so much, and just having been burnt out of listening to music for so long, it just feels so great to be back into love listening to it. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. There was just a time when I just really wasn't listening to any new stuff. It wasn't until like 2023 I started listening to actual releases and being consistent, keeping up with it. And now, especially since last year, I've been really just listening to so much great music, and it's stuff that I would have never had listened to before if I wasn't just so curious and had just such broad taste. And yeah, I really can't say enough how much it just feels so good to not be in that state that I was in, and just in being burnt out. I really don't know how else to explain it. It was so weird, and now it's just like I'm listening to so much great music. And speaking of new music, something I was thinking about the other day in regards to that is that occasionally I'll stop by Barnes and Noble like once a week to kind of check out their selection, because slowly but surely their CD selection is getting bigger, and it's getting stuff a little outside of like normie stuff and getting kind of like weirder and obscure just a little, only a little bit. I can't give them too much credit, because if someone went to Barnes and Noble to look at new releases for the week without knowing anything about the larger space of the industry or of music today, then they would think there's absolutely no new music from anyone besides a lot of popular artists. And which is why I say this is to support your local music or record store. For me, it's Seasick Records in Birmingham. They're awesome, and they carry so much stuff, and you could find some great gems in their used section. And they'll even do a lot of early listening parties and like host small concerts, and their staff is awesome. I just love physical media, and I love supporting small businesses, and I've just been going there a lot more lately, like once or twice a month, and And I'm a big proponent for owning your music and for physical media. So I got to shout them out. This isn't like a sponsorship or anything. I just love them so much. So yeah. Now with the way I have this list ordered, it's not really set in stone order. I just put them on here simply by what felt right, I guess. So they could easily swap places later or even by the end of the year. I mean, I probably won't stay the same by the end of the year, or maybe it will. I don't know. I doubt it. But um, but yeah. And of these 15 albums on here, there are only two artists that I was familiar with, and everyone else I had not listened to anything prior. So to start off, I'll go into my honorable mentions. First on my honorable mentions is Hurts Like Hell by Charlotte Cornfield. Um, this was a very relaxing, smooth, but emotional country folk record. I really liked this. And when I listened to it the week it was released, I really wanted to get the vinyl for this at Seasick, but Seasick had sold out like that morning I left. And they did not restock it until like fairly recently. So I just picked it up. And it's like on this cool clear vinyl with like splotches of yellow. Yeah, this was I've been slowly but surely getting into like alternative and like yeah, I would say alternative country, or like not like your usual mainstream country. And so far it's been great. My highlight track for this is Living With It featuring um Feist. I believe that's how you say that. But yeah. Next up on my honorable mentions is Big Disgrace by Hot and Freddy. This was a CD blind buy. What really, it was the cover that really interests me for this. It's the two members of the group in this kind of like circus carnival setup. And I thought it was going to be some kind of like Baroque or folk record, but no, it's like a 80s inspired early Gaga dance record, and it's awesome. My highlight track is Anti Superstar, and it's easily like a top song this year. I will definitely like, I'm hooked to that. I love that song, and I can't get enough of this album. Check it out. Next up is Worst Girl in America by Slater. That's Slater spelled Slayyyy. That's three Y's, Ter. It's this very crunchy electro industrial party pop album. It's so addictive. Um, and what made me love this album more is I saw this write up for this album that mentioned the track Cannibalism, and it being like a Cramps inspired track. And I had recently just listened to Bad Music for Bad People by the Cramps, and I can totally see that, which made me love this album more, and a bunch of its influences. It's so good. My highlight track for this is Yes God, Yes God in all caps, and then God with three D's. It's that is a song to get you hyped. It's so good. And next up for my honorable mentions is When the Light's Gone by Nostalgia 77. It's a very funky soul album with these dreamlike vocals. It's very beautiful. What caught my eye for this album was the album art. I love it. It's you just got to check it out. It's so cool. It's what really got me to listen to this, and I'm glad both the art and the album are great. My highlight track for this is When the Light's Gone. And my last honorable mention is For No Man Shall See Me and Live by World Peace. This is a 6-minute power violence album, if you can even call it an album, that absolutely rips. It's not really anything new. It's just a really just solid, great listen. And after listening to it, I immediately went to the Reddit for this album and saw their entire discography from 2017 until today being sold in like this 2 vinyl package called Contrary to the Order of Creation, and I bought it immediately. It was only like $32, like $31.99, before obviously shipping and tax, but they had already sold out of the regular black and like the special white vinyl variant. And so all they had left was the clear variant, which is, I'm not complaining. That's fine. I just want a copy. It's just so sick. Their entire discography is like all together like an hour, I think, or maybe over an hour. It is so cool. And I just love their like minimalist covers too with these like biblical titles. It's so sick. But yeah, it's a super quick listen, and I don't have a highlight track for this. Just listen to the whole album. It's 6 minutes. All right, now finally we're going into my top 10 favorite albums of 2026 so far. Starting from number 10 is LP4 by American Football. This album was the reason I put off doing this episode until I listened to it, and I'm glad I did. This is also one of the two artists that I had previously listened to their body of work. I love American Football, and this is one of my most anticipated releases this year. Their last album, LP3, came out in 2019, and I liked it. I sadly missed the pre-release party, listening party for this at Seasick. I was sad about it because obviously I wanted to hear this, but also too they were giving away a special zine there. But I had gone to the store. I had gone to Seasick this past weekend actually, and they had a ton left over because I don't think anybody showed up for it, which makes me kind of sad. But hey, what can you do? The zine is really cool. It's a listening guide that gives you a track by track commentary along with pictures. I love it, and I love this album. I keep seeing people say it's a departure from their usual sound, which is not true if you only listen to their first album. This sounds pretty close to their last two albums, but I definitely love this more than LP3. It has some really great drums and just great instrumentation all around. It's so slow and contemplative. Yeah, I love it. The highlight track for me for this is No Soul to Save, which I believe is the last song on the album. But yeah, my number 9 is actually the second artist I was already familiar with on this list, and that is The Mountain by Gorillaz. This is the newest release from them since 2023's Cracker Island. I found that album to be all right, but this was incredible. This and Song Machine are their two best releases since their comeback in 2017. All the art for this album is also incredible. And they even did like an animation for this with like a few of the songs that was also done like traditionally with like cells. It's pretty crazy. Check it out. But yeah, everything surrounding this album is so sick, and it features so many Indian artists. This is also like an emotional release because both Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett had lost their fathers when making this album. So it has some very strong grief-stricken lyrics and tracks in here that on one hand are bitter, but also so sweet and bright. Like my highlight track, being Orange County featuring Bizarre Rap, Kara Jackson, and Anushka Shankar. I love so many of the tracks on this album, but it is definitely my favorite because it really captures a strong feeling I have that I haven't been able to properly vocalize. I would say another track too that really comes second is Damascus. Completely different vibe, by the way, too, for that song. It is so sick. But yeah, one thing too that initially hurt this album for me, but now I've changed my tune, was some of these tracks did not fit for me on this album, like The Happy Dictator, The God of Lying, and The Plastic Guru. I feel like they were out of place. Again, like a different vibe. But then I read this really good write-up for it that made me think that no, they do fit because much like our own world, when where we are dealing with our own grief or inner turmoil, we'll still be surrounded by these external forces or madmen that are there regardless of what's going on in our own lives. So in a way, I feel like the songs very much fit being there, which has made me appreciate this album even more. And they're good songs too. I liked them even before I came to that realization. It's just now I think I like them even more. Yeah, anyway, go check out this album. Really cool. Another great album from Gorillaz. Next up, we have Theft World by Lip Critic. This is number 8. I really don't know where to put this in terms of genre. Some places I see have called it electropunk or synth punk or digital hardcore, so I'm just going to use all of those to describe this. This is the sophomore release from Lip Critic. I didn't know what to expect, and I definitely did not expect an electropunk Danny Brown sounding record. Like the lead vocalist sounds like an off-brand Danny Brown, and it rules. This album was sick, and the creation of it is weird because it's based on a fan stealing the lead vocalist's identity. If you get a chance, read about it. It's I haven't I can't remember too much off the top of my head, but it's pretty weird. My highlight track for this is My Blush, Strength the Critic. Very good. Next up is number 7, and that is And in Arcadia, I Saw a Black Star by Xeon. That is Xeon 3 times, and it's all capitals, and it's spelled Xeon. This is like if Death Grips and JPEG Mafia made a satanic album. This album was made for me. It has these crazy ass biblical apocalyptic bars and imagery that are just so sick. It goes so hard, and the samples are terrifying. This will definitely stick around as I go through the year because this album was freaking crazy. Yeah, I can't say enough. It was like literally made for me. My highlight track for this is Adorn Thy Head with Bells, Trumpets Flare. Just so cool. Number 6 is You by Underscores. This is a sick experimental heavy EDM record. My highlight track for this is Music. It's incredible and it's so catchy. It has so many change-ups. What's funny is I listened to this album and Slater's album back to back, and they're both right there at being hyperpop, but they're not, and they're both so different. I say this because I heard this offhand comment from a music critic saying hyperpop is dead, and like there's no one really putting out just focused hyperpop. And they also mentioned these two albums, and I thought, damn, she might be right, because I haven't listened to any actual hyperpop recently besides these two, and they're neither this or Slater's are hyperpop, but they're right there. They're so close. It's so strange. Anyway, check this out. It's a fantastic album. You by Underscores. All right, now we're getting to my top 5. My number 5 is Volume 2 by Angine de Poitrine. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, because that is the way that is pronounced is done in Quebecois, which is the form of French that they speak in Quebec. So instead of saying probably Poitrine, they would say Poitrine. As far as I know, I believe that's correct. So it's kind of throwing me off, but I hope I said that correctly. But this record is an awesome math avant prog rock that has these microtonal structures and odd time signatures. Not only that, the aesthetics of these two dudes, it's just two dudes. It's one guy who plays drums and one who plays a guitar and bass. So it's like I want to say it's like a guitar and bass like put together, but because I don't think they're I think they're attached, I believe. But anyway, and they have these really just interesting costumes. It reminds me of a mix of Yayoi Kusama and Travis Lamp. Like if Yayoi Kusama took her dots and then Travis Lamp created a character and they just mashed them together. I love it. I wish I had found them out sooner when they released their first album in 2024. I just never got a chance checking them out, but now I have, and this record was incredible. I'm definitely adding this to my CD and record collection. My highlight track is UTZP. It's UTZP, I think. I don't know. I don't know if you actually say it, but I believe it's UTZP because I think they say it in the song. Anyway, yeah. All right, number 4 is Emer for Emer by Flying Moon in Space. This is a synthy, krautrock, post-punk, shoegaze record that I was completely surprised by, because it feels so like something about it feels so just distant yet personal and crushing. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but it's so good. I really recommend to listen to it yourself. My highlight track for this is Barbarian, which it's like the opening track, and it's so funny because as soon as the track starts, I'm like, in my head I was thinking it'd be so cool if they just said Barbarian, and that's literally what they do. And from then on, it's like the whole album is just incredible. And it's really hard to nail down a genre for it, but all the genres I said, it's multiple. It's so cool. Check it out. Number 3 is Domestic Bliss by Voca Gentle. Um, this is a huge surprise for me as well because it's also another album that's hard for me to narrow down in terms of genre. It's like avant-garde indie rock, art pop, and like psychedelia. It's fantastic. I was just blown away by this album from start to finish. It's written so strongly in composition and lyrics. Its storytelling is so fascinating, and the highlight track for it really struck me because it has this incredible, catchy, melodic hook that I'll just find myself singing randomly in the day. The highlight track is called K Sees the Deal Go Down. Another album that I'm probably carrying with me to the end of the year. I was just so surprised by this record. All right, we're getting close to the end. My number 2 is Erg by Mandy, Indiana, a heavy dance-inspired noise rock album that just fucking rips. And I know I've said it a few times this episode, but again, it's another album that will probably stick with me. It's just so good. My highlight track is this very crunchy, hard-hitting song that's in French that just gets you moving. The band itself is like English French, but man, it's just something a way that she speaks on this track, and like it just hits hard. And not only that, it has a Gaza mention, which fuck yeah, because free Gaza, free Palestine. We'd love to fucking hear it. But check these guys out. My highlight track is East Halt So. Finally, and my number 1 is My New Band Believe by My New Band Believe. This album is the debut from Cameron Picton of the disbanded Black Meaty, which go check out Black Meaty and also go check out Joy DeGreep. He was the lead guitarist and frontman. He had an album come out in 2024, The New Sound. That was one of my favorite albums that year. It was weird and fun and great. But anyway, this album is fantastic. My highlight track is the opening track, which is Target Practice. I love it because it's eerie and vengeful, and much of the instrumentation and sound of this whole album reminds me of Black Country New Road in that it's very Baroque. This was incredible, and I'm so glad that, like, even though Black Meaty broke up, that the members are all making their own music, and it's all been really just weird and great. But yeah, that's my top 10 favorite albums this year so far. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have you heard any of these albums? Are any of them on your list or radar? Let us know. What artists should I be looking into? Tell me. So again, thank you for listening. We are the All You Can Hear podcast. You can find us on pretty much anywhere. Follow us on Bluesky at aychpodcast.bsky.social. And lastly, I'm Wenzel. You can follow me on Bluesky at World of Wenzel and Wenzel's Essentials. Thank you so much.